Picture a perfectly normal, painfully familiar situation. You're on the highway, pulled over on the shoulder, rain pouring or sun beating down, and your car suddenly dies. For 90% of people today, this moment feels like the end of the world. We instantly panic. We frantically Google the nearest mechanic, call our friends, order a tow truck, and nervously pace back and forth along the road. Our entire modern existence is built on the concept of outsourcing. If something breaks, we find someone to fix it. If something is confusing, we pay someone to explain it. Our food is delivered by couriers, our problems are handled by therapists, and technology to us is just a magical black box. If it works, great. If it breaks, call the specialist. And there is nothing inherently wrong with this. It's just how our comfortable world operates. But there is a completely different breed of people. When their car lets out a death rattle and stalls, they don't panic call a service center. They quietly step out, pop the hood, stare at the scorching hot metal of the engine, and there isn't an ounce of frustration on their faces. On the contrary, if you look closely, you'll see a strange, almost imperceptible sense of relief in their eyes. Right now, I want to do a deep dive into this exact phenomenon, because knowing how to work on an engine has absolutely nothing to do with nuts, oil, or trying to save a few bucks on a repair. And to be honest, it's not even really about the car. It is a story about the fundamental architecture of human thinking. When a person learns to fix a complex, unforgiving machine with their own bare hands, something profound happens to their brain. Let's start with how these people consume and process information. Neuroscientists call it embodied cognition. Most of us interact with the world through screens, spreadsheets, and words. But when a person is diagnosing a car problem, they aren't just gathering data. Their brain is constructing a highly complex 3D model of an invisible system. They are simultaneously holding dozens of variables in their working memory: the smell of burnt wiring, a micro vibration in the steering wheel, the sound of the starter, and how the car was behaving last Friday. In that exact moment, their hands and their brain operate as one synchronized supercomputer. The knowledge these people possess isn't written in books or manuals. It is hardwired into their muscle memory, into their fingertips, into that very specific silence that falls when a properly seated bolt stops turning. If you ask someone like this, "Hey, how did you know the alternator was failing?" they will probably pause. They'll shrug and say something like, "The sound was just off," or "It just felt wrong." That doesn't mean they lack the vocabulary to explain it. It means their experience lives far deeper than language. They literally think with their hands. Because of this, car people develop a personality trait that outsiders often mistake for plain stubbornness or arrogance. These people trust their personal direct experience infinitely more than any loud authority figure. They are incredibly skeptical of experts in clean suits who confidently talk about things they've never physically touched. Why? Because in the garage, they have proven to themselves 1,000 times over, the official manual can lie. The expensive diagnostic scanner can miss the problem. But if your grease-stained hands feel a looseness in a part, it is definitely there. For them, truth is only what can be physically verified. But the most fascinating shift happens when we look at their relationship with time. We live in an era of manic speed. 15-minute grocery delivery, relationships through a swipe on Tinder, courses on how to become a millionaire over the weekend. The modern world promises us quick fixes for absolutely everything. But fixing an engine cannot be rushed. You cannot negotiate with physics. There are strict sequences that must be followed. There are torque specifications that exist due to the laws of mechanics, not because you're in a hurry to be somewhere. If you cut a corner, leave a nut loose, or try to rush the process, the machine will literally fall apart on the highway, and the problem will return 10 times worse. This teaches a person a brutal but sobering truth that is almost lost today. Real, complex processes have their own timeline, and that timeline is non-negotiable. Those who internalize this lesson under the hood carry it over into their daily lives. They become unusually tolerant of slow processes. They don't expect instant results in their careers or overnight changes in their relationships. And they intuitively distrust people who promise them everything all at once. Now let's move to the emotional part. How do people even learn this? Rarely does anyone sit down to read an auto mechanic textbook. Most often, this skill is passed down in the presence of someone else. A father in the garage on a Saturday afternoon. An uncle who didn't say a single word but just handed you a wrench and waited. A neighbor who didn't explain the theory but simply showed you how to do it. These weren't formal lessons. What was actually being transmitted in those moments wasn't technical knowledge. It was an attitude towards difficulty. The ability to not give up and not run away from a problem, even when you desperately want to quit. That's exactly why people often turn their cars into a cult and remember their first beat-up clunker in the tiniest biographical details. They aren't in love with a piece of metal. They are remembering that time, those emotions, and that bond in the garage with someone they cared about, back when the world seemed huge and they were just learning how to handle it. From the outside, it looks like these people are just fiercely independent, tough, and hate asking for help. But underneath the hood of their psyche, a massive mechanism is at work. Psychologists call it an internal locus of control. This is the deep-seated belief that your life, your failures, and your successes depend entirely on your own efforts, not on luck, not on astrology, and not on other people. This bulletproof confidence doesn't come out of nowhere. It is hammered into the psyche through hours of pain when the machine won't work, you've scraped the skin off your knuckles, you keep searching for the cause, and finally, the engine roars to life. The person realizes, if I could figure out this chaos, I can figure out anything. And this brings us to the deepest reason why people spend their precious weekends lying on cold concrete in a garage. For them, it is the purest form of psychotherapy. Think about it. There are almost no absolute truths in the modern world. How do you know if you did a good job at the office today? It's completely subjective. It depends on your boss's mood. Did you make the right life decision? Only time will tell. We live in a constant state of fog, stress, and endless ambiguity. But the garage is a place of radical honesty. The engine either runs or it doesn't. There are no grey areas, no office politics, and no different points of view. The feedback is absolute and undeniable. Therefore, the person who retreats to the garage on a difficult Sunday is not hiding from their family or their life problems. They are restoring their damaged psyche. By reassembling a machine, piece by piece, they are taking back that sense of control, clarity, and competence that modern life drained out of them over the past work week. What looks to outsiders like a weird, dirty hobby is actually a brilliant coping strategy for stress. So the main question isn't whether you know how to change spark plugs or oil. The main question is much harsher. What broken situation in your own life are you currently standing in front of, with the hood up, waiting for an adult to come along and fix it? Because the right answer has always been the same. To get moving again, you're going to have to stop being afraid of getting your own hands dirty. Drop a comment below. How do you handle complex situations in your life? Do you outsource or do you dive in yourself? Subscribe to the channel and thank you for watching.